Greetings and welcome to yet another episode of Outstanding Role Models of Sri Lanka. Today I have the privilege of being in conversation with Mr. Chandra Schaffter, a brilliant Sri Lankan business leader, known to many as the father of Sri Lanka insurance industry, has been a cricketer, currently the oldest living Sri Lankan cricketer. He has had a very instrumental role in Sri Lankan cricket on multiple fronts, in the Sri Lankan insurance industry, continues to do an amazing amount of philanthropy, and has taken some time away from his busy schedule to have this conversation. So Mr. Schaffter, welcome.
Thank you.
It's an absolute honor and a privilege to be in conversation with you. You're somebody that people from many generations in this country look up to, admire, and have a sense of gratitude towards what you have done. So I want to start to the early years of your life. I know you're a proud St. Thomas College, I believe, a
yes.
proud Thomian. So let's talk about the school years and what were some of those formative experiences that created the foundation to who you are?
I suppose it's true to say that I was very fortunate in going to St. Thomas's because I had a good education, a good background. I lost my mother when I was 3 and my father when I was 11, so I really had no parental guidance in that sense. But the masters at St. Thomas's, particularly in my early years, and some of my relatives were very, very helpful, and so I was able to make my way along. But St. Thomas's was a great place to be in because you learn a lot of values which you don't see in the outside world, and I think that it has stood me in good stead, and I think it has stood a lot of Thomians in good stead.
So coming from that beginning, once you finished your schooling, were you more passionate about cricket at that stage, or business, or education? What was going on in the young mind?
Well, I had to find a way of earning a living. That was my primary problem. I had to get a job and earn a living, or I had to do a good profession and then start earning a living. Well, I tried the first one. I sat for the university entrance and I managed to creep into the university. But I didn't pass I was doing my medical entrance, I didn't pass my exam. So I realized I had to get out and start earning my own living. So I got out and I looked for a job. I had to look around, literally walk the streets of Colombo for about a year. Then I finally got a job at Ceylon Insurance Company as a clerk on 130 rupees a month, which was not a bad salary at that time. So I got that job. So I started in insurance. I left them after a year and joined a Canadian company where I had a fairly good opportunity to go forward. They were very happy with me and they made me number 2 within about 3 years of their branch. So I had got somewhere. But then that company decided to close because Canadian companies saw that there was no future in Sri Lanka in the 56, 57 years. And so I joined Carson Cumberbatch in their general insurance department. I had been doing only life insurance. That was a different kettle of fish altogether. It was a typical agency company where they had no time for anything else except work. And but it gave me a very good training. And so I was there for nearly 15 years, and when I left, that department was about 5 times bigger than it was when I first went in. We'd done quite well, and I benefited a great deal because I had hard taskmasters, but they taught us the business very thoroughly. And then I got out on my own. I got on my own and started, I took a risk because I had a wife and 4 children, and I gave up one of the best paid jobs in the mercantile sector and became an insurance agent, which meant I had to go around canvassing business, and unless I canvassed business, I got no money. And for a long time, life was quite difficult. But little by little, I managed to find clients, earn a commission, and then keep going. Then that's how I got to stage 1 of my life outside of a regular job.
That's an incredible journey, and like you said, losing your parents at an early age, not having a sense of privilege where you walked into somebody's business and said, I can do this. You had to create things from scratch. And you said, walking in Colombo, looking for a job all those years and trying to, and then when you finally had the opportunity, it seems like every time you received something, you took it to the next level. You worked hard. What were some of the work ethics and some of the principles that guided you through those years to succeed where you were at and then take the risk to start something brand new?
I think when I started on my own, I was an agent. Then I did a little work for James Finlay's, and they were pleased with what I did, and they gave me insurance surveys to do. Then they asked me to look after their insurance department. So I had a small staff, and that staff grew. And then when the principal agency system was established, in actual fact, I was told by Lalitat Mudalani to give a plan for an alternate corporation. So I gave him a plan, and the National Insurance Corporation was established. So based on that, they had several principal agents, all the big companies. Then at the end, I was able to get a principal agency myself. I had to get large bank guarantees, and surprisingly, a government bank gave me a huge guarantee without any guarantee from me at all. I had nothing at all to offer, but I was lucky. And within a few years, I made a success of that, and so I was able to pay them off and to get on. And then the principal agency system was good. It was very good, in fact, and the National Insurance Corporation did very well. But then the government decided to privatize. And when they privatized, the National Insurance Corporation lost most of its principal agents because they all went in to start companies of their own. And so they had a broker system instead. So I became a broker, and again I just shifted my staff there, and we did very well as brokers. And then I thought, why not have an insurance company? My children said, why don't you start something? I was very diffident because I did not have any capital at all, and I was also wondering how I could compete with the big boys. It was people like Harsons and John Keels who were doing that, Ceylon, and of course the insurance corporation. So anyway, I made a start. I didn't have any capital. We had to have a capital of about 25 million rupees. But then I was fortunate, we had others who invested, and then we got some money, and we started Janashakthi Life in 1994. It's nearly a little over 25 years ago. So that's how I started on my own, having an insurance company. A year later, we started a general insurance company, Janashakthi General, and that was also a difficult start, much more difficult than life. Everybody turned against us. I lost good friends in the process because they thought I was a threat to them. But I held on and managed to survive, and then we did quite well, and we were quite big until we sold off to Allianz a couple of years ago, and we have retained the life insurance company.
That's an amazing journey of acquiring competence, working hard to accomplish greater heights, and never feeling like you've arrived, always looking to learn and take it to the next stage. It's an incredible journey. But before we move on, in the midst of all your professional engagement, you've also done a lot to Sri Lanka cricket. Tell us a little bit about that. I know you yourself played cricket. Then you had a very formative role at Tamil Union, and I believe Tamil Union was the location at the Oval was the very first Sri Lanka test match.
Yes.
And so tell us a little bit about that contribution, and then you also were part of the administration for Sri Lanka cricket at some point.
Yes, for a while. Tamil Union, I'll tell you about the Tamil Union first. The Tamil Union ground was originally a marsh, and P. Saronamuthu filled up the marsh and built a beautiful ground, and he built a stadium, a part stadium there. And the first international match, proper international match against India was played there in 1946. Vijay Merchant brought his team. Thereafter, the really big one was when Don Bradman played in 1948. It was the only time Don Bradman apparently had played in Asia. There was a huge crowd, and the Tamil Union was the venue. Thereafter, the Tamil Union was the venue for most international matches for a long time. Then there was a break, but then they came back, and then it has been sporadic. But Tamil Union has been the home of international cricket for Sri Lanka. I played for the Tamil Union for a while, but then my contribution more probably has been in the administration. I was secretary, president, that type of thing. I helped to expand the stadium in the club. My family did, and now my children are doing what I wanted done. They help the club to go forward in many ways.
Thank you for the amazing contribution to Sri Lanka cricket. I don't think many people know this. Even in the life of Sri Lankan legend like Muthaiya Muralidharan, you had a very important role to play, and so you've contributed on multiple fronts. So thank you for that amazing.
Yes, I was also a selector for some time, national selector for some time. Then I managed the Sri Lanka team on several occasions, and that was in some ways my happiest years. Managing a Sri Lanka cricket team was very, very enjoyable.
So, incredible journey. I want to move on to a lot of our outstanding role models. They have this compassion in their heart. It's not just living for themselves. And by reading your story and what you've accomplished, the philanthropic work that you and your family do in the estate community and elsewhere in the country, what moves you to do that? And also you seem to have a lot of compassion for people who you work with, like the next generation. You invested in people. Let's talk a little bit about that. What drive is there within you to be compassionate?
Let me deal with people in our staff first. I regard them as a part of a family, people who come to us because they want a job. And I think it is our duty, I would say in a way a God-given duty, to look after them. In fact, in Janashakthi we call ourselves family rather than a company. And I think it's a family-owned company, it's run by my family. And I think we always are concerned about the welfare of our staff. As I used to say, we don't look at the rule book when you have to do something for a member of the staff. We try to do whatever we can to make life a little easier for them. And I think in that way we have accomplished a fair amount as employers over the last 25 years. I think that's very important. If you cannot do something for those who work for you and you seek to get the best out of them and not worry about them, then I don't think life is worth living.
Yeah. And then what about there's so many causes in this country, and then how you all have got involved? And
well, I have been involved in a few projects, like I was chairman of the Deaf and Blind School for a short while and did what we could. Then I helped an organization called Tea Leaf Vision, which helps teaches children in the plantation areas English, which is a wonderful job they do. They produce about 250 to 300 English-speaking students after a 9-month course. And I would say 80% of them get jobs fairly quickly, so that shows the excellence of the training they have. They teach those children free. Some of the children come long distances, and sometimes when they stop coming, the teachers go to the houses to find out why, and they say they have no bus fare. And so that's the only thing they have to pay for, and so the school helps them even with their bus fare, and it has paid a lot of dividends, and it's a wonderful thing that they are doing. It was started by an Englishman now resident in New Zealand, Tim Pear, and his wife. They started it on their own, and now it's a fairly active, vibrant organization.
Yeah, and I can vouch for Tea Leaf Vision as well. We are Sri Lankan-owned is a partner organization with them, and excellent work, and thank you for your amazing contribution in that. I want to talk a little bit about our final component, two things. One, about the vision for Sri Lanka and your grandchildren's generation and beyond. What would you like to see? But at the same time, on character. So you were in this country through various conflicts, so much of cycles of violence. I think you would have experienced the 83 violence. You saw all those things happen. And you could have always said, I'm done, I'm out of here, this country is not my home. But you're here, and you continue to invest, you continue to dream for this country. Why was that?
Well, I was there in 56, in 58, in 70, 71, in 77, and then in 83. But I still think this is a wonderful country to live in. I think the majority community are some of the nicest people live. You go into a village, your car breaks down, they'll surround your car and say, what can we do for you? They don't worry about what you are. I think it's the politicians who are to blame, because I think they cater to the worst instincts of human beings in order to gather their votes. And that is the ruination of this country, and absolutely nothing else. And when I say politicians, I don't mean only the politicians from the majority community. They are politicians from all communities who appeal to our basest instincts to get our votes. And I think that is the sad thing in this country. And until that changes, and until particularly the majority community realize that there is no danger to them from the minorities, a danger which is spoken of and the flames are fanned only by interested parties.
So concluding question, what's the vision you have for this country, for your grandchildren's generation and beyond? What would you want us to accomplish as a country?
I think we as a country should be one where there is no want. There is a lot of want in this country. As you said, I am interested in the plantations. If you go to the plantations, you will find a lot of them don't have adequate food at the moment. They live in tiny little 15 by 12 houses. You will find 10 people living in that room, in one room. Some of them don't have toilets. They have to go to the fields. The schools don't have toilets, so the girls' school don't have toilets. I leave you to imagine how they manage school. But they are nobody's baby. The schools are inadequate, they are in number, they are inadequate in the type of teaching they do. Health is poorly attended to, their mortality rates are high, and they are really nobody's children. And that is something this country has to do. They find that more than half the plantation population is working outside. The fault is entirely that of the owners or the managers and the country, state. They have not made it worthwhile for them to remain on the estate. They have a way out, they go out. And I think the view of the country has to change towards both minorities and also the poor people in the majority community. All of them need help, and I think that is what they should do first before they think of anything else.
Very well said. And so thank you for the amazing example of your life through a lot of turbulent times to not just accomplish great success for yourself, but create something for the community and the broader nation. And now on the shoulders of people such as yourself, a new generation wanting to create that dream that you have, a nation without want, a nation that treats everyone as equals and thrives together. So thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for watching. You can join us again next week for another episode of Outstanding Role Models of Sri Lanka. We're talking with Mr. Chandra Schaffter. You can learn more about his life and his story. There'll be links on the notes below. Thank you. And we hope that you too will be inspired by his story and be the best Sri Lankan you could be to transform our nation. Join us again next week.